guys, welcome in here. It is time to look ahead at WagerTalk.com. Joe Raineri alongside Teddy Covers. And Teddy, we haven't even been through week 6 yet, but yet somehow we find it important to look ahead to week 7 in the NFL season. Why would that be, Teddy?
Sure. So these are bettable lines right now for next week's games before this week's games have been played. And they've been doing this here in Vegas at the Westgate. I mean, they've been doing it it feels like forever. And I've been tracking them forever. I've been in Vegas since 98. I think they were doing it when I first came out here. They've certainly been doing it since I've been betting at a professional level since 03, 04. But what the benefit of knowing next week's lines before this week's games are, there's 2 benefits. One, allows you to bet next week's game. Let's say you have an opinion on something that's going to happen this week, all right? If you think the Lions are going to beat the Jaguars this week, maybe you want to bet on the Lions next week as well, because the point spread that you're getting now is better than the point spread you're likely to get if Detroit wins this week against Jacksonville. Just for example. I don't know why I picked an awful game like the Lions-Jaguars to use an example, but I did. So that's one way you can do it. You make 2 bets instead of making 1 bet. You bet your team this week and you bet them next week. The other thing that you want to pay attention to with these look-ahead lines, we call them, is how much of a reaction the markets make off the one game that we're going to see this Sunday or this coming weekend. Sometimes you see an enormous reaction. And I'm going to talk about a game from last week, the 49ers and the Rams. The look-ahead line was San Francisco -3. The line comes out, LA -3, and gets bet up. So that's a pretty significant adjustment off of each team only playing one game. So to have that info, to recognize what you're going to see with the opening lines, with the look-ahead lines, that's, I think, a decent way for people to approach it if they're doing this for the first time. If you're a pro, you've probably been looking at the lines, next week's lines in advance for some time, I would think.
It's a hell of a blueprint and a way to approach it, especially since you've already looked at week 6. Knowing what is coming up in week 7, we talk about it all the time here at Wager Talk, Teddy, right? Sandwich games, look-ahead spots. These are all terms that we use on a weekly basis when discussing not only the NFL, college football, and everything else, but it's because it's true. I mean, these are human beings. They're men. Yes, they're professional athletes, but sometimes you can't help, even as a professional athlete, to look ahead, Teddy.
Whenever I'm looking at any given NFL game, it's always as part of a 3-week window.
Right.
Who did they play last week? Who's on tap this week? Mm-hmm. And who do they have on deck next week? Yep. And when you look at the game through that prism, it gives you a little bit of understanding of what we call spot plays in the NFL. What are the good spots? What are the bad spots? Where are games where a team might be distracted? Where are games where a team's likely to give full focus? So, that's my 2 cents on the issue.
And listen, we got the week 7 lines thanks to our friends at the Westgate Las Vegas. The look ahead. We'll go through these games. Important to mention too the importance of power rankings, Teddy, and you're going to go ahead and reference some of your own when talking about these games as well.
Sure, but I smiled when you said power rankings. Pet peeve. I do power ratings.
Power ratings. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. I know, but most people don't know the difference. It's one of my little pet peeves. You say power ratings, power rankings. People don't know that. Power rankings, you're ranking the teams 1 to 32. Right. Power ratings, you're also ranking the teams 1 to 32. But the difference between team 1 and team 2 might be greater than the entire difference between team 2 and team 30. Yeah. Each team gets an individual. So power rankings is just 1 through 32. Power ratings gives you an actual number attached to each team. And they're often ties, the teams that are power rated the same number. So just whatever. You know me.
I still have the Prez's the hypothetical question from an earlier video in my head, which was a ranking question. My bad. Let's dive into some of these games, though. Let's start Thursday night here, Week 7. Giants at the Eagles, Teddy, and I'm looking at -6.5 for the Eagles here, taking on the boys in blue.
So I'm using a 1-point home field unless noted otherwise for my numbers. I'm going to give you my powering numbers from right now. And literally, these are the first time we're going through these, Joe. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked at them yet. So I'm just going to give you my initial number, and we'll see, where the markets are pricing, where I'm at. Given the 1 point home field, this is in Philadelphia?
Yes, this is in Philly.
Yeah, my number 6 on the game. So it's pretty close to the market number right now.
Yep, 6.5. Absolutely. Talk about two teams. I think the Giants are. It's interesting that you have it at 6. And now explain the difference. If you're talking about a 1 point home field advantage, and this line, your line is even at 6, and we're looking at 6.5 for the look ahead. How does that one play? Let's say, for instance, the Eagles win this week. So the Eagles win this week. Does that change what you're thinking might happen here in this Giants game moving forward?
Sure. Let's say the Eagles knock off the Ravens and the Giants lose to the Skins.
Skins, right.
All right. The Washington football team. I got to throw $1 in the jar for that.
I'm with you. It's okay.
At the end of the year, we're going to have a lot of money from the Raiders and the Chargers and the Skins. Yeah. There's, we're going to have a big party with all the guys that are throwing the dollars in the jar, but no one's actually doing it, unfortunately. But it would have been a big party if guys actually were doing that. Anyhow, if Philly looks good and the Giants look bad, the number's going to come higher. The question is how much.
Right.
And if the markets make a bigger adjustment than you think they should, or a smaller adjustment than you think they should, those potentially opens up opportunities to bet.
Which is, again, guys, why we're going through this for you here, so we can kind of bring you through the thought process of why we look at these games. And you play the what-if game. What if Philadelphia wins? What if the Giants? You play those out and you forecast what you think might happen versus what really does happen. That's what you call value, Teddy, which is eventually what you'll be able to find once the markets adjust come Sunday night, once those lines come out. Once you've done your homework here, now you have an opportunity to pounce.
Sure. So let's say that we talk about a line that the look-ahead line is 6.5.
Right.
And let's say Philly looks great this week and the Giants look awful, and the line come out 8 next week, or 9. And if you got down to 6.5, you're getting a number that not many other people in the world are going to have.
That's correct.
There's legit value there. Yep. However, you got to be right about your opinions more often than you're wrong. Or you'll end up on the bad side of some of these. So if you're going to get involved in the look-aheads, and for most people, the look-aheads, it's informational, it's interesting, it's not something they're necessarily going to bet.
That's correct.
But if you do make to me, when I make bets for this week, I'm often going to make a small bet for next week as well.
That's correct.
Because I think you're sometimes going to get legitimately extra value in those ball games.
Correlate my bets, Teddy. That's what I'm looking to do. Like you said, a 3-week you're looking 3 weeks out, right? It's always a 3-week process when handicapping these games in the NFL season. No better time to do it than right now when these look-ahead lines come out, guys. And we'll have these look-ahead videos for you each and every week through the season here. So we can get you into a pattern, get ourselves into a pattern, so you guys can understand exactly what the thought process is behind all of this craziness when we talk here at WagerTalk.com. Let's go to Browns-Bengals, the Battle of Ohio, if anybody really wants that. Cleveland on the road in Cincinnati, if that's really a road game, considering -3.5 the Browns as a road favorite in this spot. Teddy, what say you?
My pure powering number is Cleveland -5. There is potentially some concern. The Browns have a pretty big game this week, and if they win it, they'll be coming in with a fairly large bandwagon. So my number may be a little bit high on that game. But
who are you buying more? Who are you buying more? Burrow or the Cleveland quarterback Baker Mayfield, who I think the jury is still out on him, but so far your impressions of both those quarterbacks?
Burrow can't miss, although he's in Cincinnati, which means he'll get hurt, or he'll, or he'll, sometimes the can't miss guys just they get sacked 8 times a week, all of a sudden get happy feet. But Burrow is a prospect with more, whatever. Mayfield's not a prospect anymore; he's a veteran QB. The Browns, I'll leave it like this: the Browns have Super Bowl caliber talent. They'll go as far as Mayfield will take them.
That's right. Look at that coaching quarterback combination, guys. It's one of the most underrated, but yet most important processes in the NFL for even young quarterbacks like a Baker Mayfield, and certainly like Burrow as he moves along. How about them Cowboys taking on that Washington team, whatever you want to call them at this point? I'm not throwing $1 in the jar. I'm just going to throw out there that the Cowboys on the road, laying 3 as an away favorite here. What say you, Teddy?
Laying 3. That's an interesting number because my number's a lot bigger than that, even with Andy Dalton. But I'm pretty down on Washington right now. I got the Cowboys 13.5. So I've got a 6 on that game for Dallas. And again, I made a modest adjustment off Dak Prescott's injury, but it's not like Dalton. He's the serviceable backup.
Right.
Okay, this isn't a situation where you're walking into where the backup cannot play at all. Dalton's serviceable. But Washington's a team with the head coach is undergoing chemo.
Yeah.
They're changing quarterbacks week in, week out. Their offensive line's besieged, and there are a lot of issues for the Washington football team. I've got them to the bottom 3 squad. And one thing I don't look to do in any sport, but in the NFL, is I don't want to be betting my money on bottom 3 teams.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. There's better places to spend it, guys, than trying to fit, a square peg in a round hole. There's just no point in doing it. Speaking of crap, how about the Lions and the Falcons, Teddy? Falcons, new coaching on the way there. I think, well, not like there will be a whole new changeover coming soon in Atlanta, but they are home taking on a Detroit Lions team that just, like the little engine they want to get there, and something always seems to happen with this team. Falcons 1-point favorite at home. Look ahead line. What say you?
My numbers pick them. But again, if Detroit, when you play out this week, Detroit favored against the Jags, right. Atlanta dogs against the Vikings. If Detroit looks good and Atlanta looks bad, there's no question the Lions will come out favored.
Love that. Everybody's darling. Boy, what a difference a couple of weeks makes. How about them Carolina Panthers on the road? Big divisional matchup here. Taking on the New Orleans Saints, who I'm sorry, I watched the team, Teddy. I break out in hives. We've known Drew Brees and this team to be so good for so long, so dependable. They're anything but right now. A lot of issues on the defensive side there for the Saints. But the Panthers, I don't know that the expectations were very high, especially with McCaffrey out. We're looking at a touchdown the Saints at home are laying here against the upstart Carolina Panthers. What say you?
My number's shorter. My number's 4 for this game. But Carolina's made me a little money on this run. Unfortunately, part of the reason that Carolina's made me money on this run is I have the Panthers season win total under, a bet that I expect to lose. And one thing that happens when I have a season win total under and I watch a team play way better than I thought they were going to play is I'm paying attention to that team. I'm going to make money with that team on the way up. So for what it's worth, again, Carolina's going to win 6 games this year.
Yep.
They were lined at 5.5. So I do expect to lose that bet. But right now the Panthers what they've done over the last 3 weeks is not fraudulent. They've been the better team in every game.
You trust the Saints to get better, or do you think what we see is what we're going to get?
The Saints?
It's tough. It really is.
You talked about Breeze. Defensively, the Saints have been, I can't just call them a minor disappointment. They've been a major disappointment.
Big time.
From where this defense was last year to where it is this year. Until the defense get fixed, New Orleans, they're a second-tier contender.
Still a 1-point home field advantage here. This is a 7. The look-ahead line, the Saints have always enjoyed a ridiculous home field advantage. This whole COVID situation's kind of changed all of that, Teddy, which is why going over numbers like this is pretty important along the way as well.
1 point.
That's it.
There's no home field in the NFL that's worth more than 1 point right now.
That's right. And don't try to take yourself out of that mindset of what you've been doing over these last couple of years, guys, and understand it's 1 point. The numbers bear it. How about the Buffalo Bills taking on the Le'Veon Bell-less New York Jets now? They were nice enough to let him go. Just let him go. Just release them. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. The Bills, who are in the midst of a Tuesday night game, kind of scheduling conflict, but going to MetLife, laying 10 against these Joe Flacco Jets here. What say you, Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, the Bills off a pretty awful showing on Tuesday night. They made a lot of mistakes in that game against the Titans. They ended up getting blown out in that contest. I'm interested in Buffalo off a loss. I think the market's be interested in Buffalo off a loss. But your number's 10. Every week I've downgraded the Jets. Every single week. And I've put myself in a position where I don't want to ever have a number that makes me think about taking the Jets.
Yeah.
My number's 13.5.
Exactly. Don't even tempt it. Don't even tempt it.
Don't.
Nope.
You cannot make money with bottom feeders. It doesn't matter what sport it is. And there's all these guys that'll tell you, there's value. There's value. Great. All right. If the Jets cover, it'll be by half a point. You know, I mean, they're not.
And who in their right mind, Teddy, wants to sit in front of a television set on Sunday holding a Jets ticket, watching that team play, going, come on, you just don't want to do it to yourself. You just don't. There's no value because you have no idea what that team or any of the bottom feeders, like you said, trying to understand or getting a finger on the pulse of those teams, not worth investing money into at all.
When you find a bottom feeder that's not a bottom feeder, you can make a bunch of money with them. Look at Carolina.
Correct.
The Jets are not a bottom feeder who's not a bottom feeder. They're a bottom feeder who is a bottom feeder.
Voila. How about it? Green Bay, the Aaron Rodgers, the rejuvenated Aaron Rodgers, taking on now they have a win under the belt, Houston Texans in Houston, also in transition, that organization from a coaching standpoint, front office on down. Houston wins last week against Jacksonville at home. They sweated it out. The final score isn't indicative of how close that game truly was, but Green Bay, 3.5-point favorite on the road in Houston. What say you?
And my number's 3. I will say this. If the Packers win at Tampa Bay, they're going to have a big betting bandwagon next week, and that number's likely to be higher.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they shaded to 3.5 already, given that potential. It's not like Green Bay's bandwagon's going nowhere if the Bucs beat them.
Right.
But if the Packers win that game to go to 5-0 straight up, 5-0 ATS, right? They haven't lost a game against the spread yet.
Nope.
It'll be an enormous betting bandwagon for the Packers, and that hook is warranted off of the 3.5, even though my pure powering number says it should be a little bit lower.
Interesting. All right, let's go to out west here. How about Seattle? Taking on the road the Arizona Cardinals. And, listen, we watched Arizona beat the Jets. Big deal on the road. Now they've got the Cowboys this week. Going to be Monday night. Going to be a short week. Taking on the Seattle Seahawks, who are just the cardiac kids at this particular point. Russell Wilson, MVP style year. The numbers are showing that. Laying 3.5 on the road in Arizona. They have, if I'm not mistaken, the numbers show they've kind of owned this matchup here over the last couple of years, certainly with Russell Wilson. But what says you?
And that's the one that surprises me, Joe. Yeah, before again, and these are the first time I'm hearing these. I didn't look at them ahead of time. I intentionally didn't look at them ahead of time. That number's significantly off from where my number is.
Wow.
I'm going to pick them in this game. But I've been off market on. I mean, I have been off market on Seattle. Because I don't. When I'm making power adjustments on a week in, week out basis, I'm not upping my ratings on teams that aren't getting stops defensively.
Right.
Yes, the Seahawks have won all these games, and yes, they covered a bunch of point spreads. Their defense stinks. And therefore, I haven't gotten as high with Seattle as I have with some other teams that have been winning and covering. Hence my number pick 'em for this ballgame. If Arizona beats Dallas on Monday night, it'll be, well, that was Andy Dalton. I don't know that they're going to get crazy credit, but there could be some Arizona bandwagon. Anytime the team has a national TV win, if they look impressive doing it, you expect a little bit of market support to come for them. So if you like Arizona this week, maybe you take them next week as well in this at the plus 3.5. That's the first one that legitimately surprised me.
I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about this one. How about the 49ers traveling to Gillette, taking on the New England Patriots, who, again, in a situation dealing with COVID and rescheduling, not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. But The 49ers are anything but the 49ers that most of this country fell in love with last year. They're just not the same team, and it's understandable as to why they're not. But you're looking at the Patriots laying 5.5 at home with a lot of question marks surrounding them. What say you in this spot?
So, again, my number is a Cam Newton number. It's not a Brian Hoyer number.
Is that
I make a 5-point adjustment.
That number. I don't think we can fit that number here.
Yeah, I mean, the market's made about it's about a 5-point adjustment. I think the number and for a smart organization like New England, maybe that merits no more than that.
Right.
But you can make a case that Newton to Hoyer is worth more than 5 points. I think the Patriots passing game doesn't work downfield with Brian Hoyer behind center. But anyhow, my number on the game's 5, so it's not like we're miles apart. San Fran has been thoroughly devalued in my power ratings. I cashed a big ticket going against the 49ers last week. I thought that line, the headline, the title for the play was "Fade the False Favorite." San Fran couldn't be laying in that range. It's a team that has had so many injuries. They're a shell of what we thought they were going to be coming into the season, and a real shell of what they were last year.
Amen to that. All right, how about this? Going to be very interesting 2 weeks here, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs. They will be traveling to Denver, rivalry game here of sorts. Chiefs are laying 9 heading into the Vic Fangio-led Denver Broncos house there. What say you in this spot? And do you devalue Kansas City at all with what you just witnessed happen against Oakland?
So I haven't adjusted my Broncos power rating for the fact that Drew Lock is probably going to be back this week.
Yep.
Right now, my number is showing a 13 for this game.
Wow, okay.
I will raise Denver, I think, 2 points if Locke is back, maybe 2.5, which puts it in range of what we were talking about. But, the Broncos are another team that's just been riddled with injuries.
Yep.
Do we devalue KC? No, they're not going to win. They're not. Teams don't go 16-0 very often.
Exactly.
KC said that they're going to have a bad game. They're going to lose a game. You don't. From a power rating standpoint, I did notch the Chiefs a half point down.
Yep.
But
sometimes
considering that I had them a field goal higher than anyone else in the NFL.
Been a while since Kansas City's tasted loss, so it'll be interesting to see how they react here over the next couple of weeks. But they are champions for a reason here, guys.
But remember that the loss was last week.
Correct.
This week's games are going to be played already.
That's correct.
We're talking about next week's games, the look-ahead line.
Week 7, looking ahead here, not this week, looking ahead. So it'll be interesting to watch Kansas City play this week. Be interesting to see exactly how that transitions into next week. But you're still talking about a double-digit number here, Teddy, on your board, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, still talking double digits. So how about Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay taking on those Las Vegas Raiders. Right in your neck of the woods there, Teddy. Raiders and Gruden, a little bit of old school, a little bit of head scratching, but it's a pick 'em. Tampa Bay is a pick 'em on the road in Vegas there. What say you?
I've got the Bucs minus 1.5 on the road, but again, you can count on this. Number one, I didn't raise the Raiders that much after beating KC.
Gotcha.
It was the right team, the right time. I've been pretty steady with my Vegas power rating. I feel like I've had a decent read on that team. If they play defense like they did last week, against the Chiefs, they do that 2 weeks in a row, then we'll start talking about upping the Raiders significantly.
Yep.
But that Tampa Green Bay game, which is a late afternoon game this week, it's going to affect the number. If the Bucs look good against the Packers, Tampa's going to come. You have a pick 'em. Tampa will come the favorite there. If the Bucs look bad against the Packers, the Raiders will come the favorite there.
Yep.
So game A is definitely going to affect the number for game B.
Absolutely. And then we've got Steelers, Titans, Tennessee. At home, they are going to be getting 3 against these Pittsburgh Steelers, who will be traveling to Nashville here. What say you? We watched Tennessee during the week have a pretty good showing after they haven't played in a while against the undefeated Buffalo Bills. But what do you think of the Steelers versus Titans? Steelers favored on the road.
Yeah, so my numbers pick 'em. And it's not like It's not like I'm short on Pittsburgh. I've been high on. I got Pittsburgh power rated as a top 5 team. But Tennessee opened the season 3-0 straight up, 0-3 against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had a COVID outbreak that basically killed 2 weeks and left everyone a little bit nervous about what's going on with the Titans moving forward. And they're also in a potential awkward scheduling spot where they have to play short week and then short week and short week again. So I can understand why what I'm giving you, literally, I'm just giving you my pure base powering number. There's no nuance attached to it. I'm not thinking about it. It's just, this is what the number is. Sometimes as you think about the game, you're like, yeah, but look at the situation for Tennessee. It's not. You can understand why Pittsburgh's favored here. Whenever there's that differential, where there's a 3-point, I don't have a lot of NFL games where I'm 3 points or 4 points off the market. So when I'm a 3-point difference, I want to know why.
Why?
And this is a potential reason why.
Interesting. Love it. All right, Jacksonville taking on them, the LA Chargers, who just, if they've never met a close game, they didn't like to lose here, Teddy. They're better than what their record is, or are they? Taking on a Jacksonville team on the road, they're coming to LA, and they're getting 6.5 points here. Chargers just under a touchdown. What say you?
This is in LA or in Jacksonville?
This is in LA.
All right, because I've got a 6.5 point differential, so I make it a 7.5 points.
Unless this is labeled wrong. This could be labeled wrong. No, 125 your time. So it is. Yeah, it's the Chargers. Yes.
Yeah. It's not the one thing the Westgate doesn't do. They don't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, well, this was copied, so I'm with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Chargers 6.5 at home against the Jags. And what was your number showing?
7.5 with the power differential 6.5 and the 1 point home field to make 7.5. I talked about the Panthers, the team I have a season win bet on that I'm going to lose. The Chargers, I have the Chargers under their win total, and a decent part of the reason for making that bet was the fact that they're now 2-13 straight up in games decided by a TD or less over the last 2 years. That has been the Chargers' way. Any Chargers fan will tell you that.
So might we have a future mustache versus the Oregon kid here? Could we possibly see Minshew taking on the quarterback, the new quarterback for the Chargers, who a lot of people were scratching their head to begin with this year? The kid has done nothing but show he belongs. Or does he? Are we still too early on what's happening with the Chargers right now?
No, Justin Herbert, much like Joe Burrow, they both passed the eye test. It's not just what the stats say. I when you watch both QBs play, they both look like professionals to me. Herbert. If you watch Tyrod Taylor week 1 against Cincinnati, and you watch Justin Herbert on Monday Night Football against New Orleans, there's no comparison. Anthony Lewis went with the right guy.
Yep, absolutely. And finally, Monday night, Teddy, to wrap it up here, week 7, look ahead lines for you guys. Chicago Bears on the road, taking on the Rams. And, boy, those people that were not high on the Rams to start the season certainly have done an about-face. But Rams at home, laying 7 against this pretty good Bears team, or are they?
My number's 5.5. The Bears aren't any good.
Yeah.
I mean,
smoke, mirrors, smoke.
There are teams that you go to your partner and say, well, how can I have this team over there, when they're 4-1? And, I've got the Bears right there with the Chargers, who are, 1-4.
Yep.
And I have those two teams power rated equally.
There you go. Now, guys, that's a look ahead. Week 7, don't forget. And we'll be doing this each and every week for you guys, trying to give you a peek into the future a little bit, trying to get your game plan going. And Teddy, of course, will share his ratings. Those are power ratings, not rankings, ratings. I just want you to know that. I'm not putting another dollar in this damn kitty. I'll tell you that right now. So there's a lot that can be learned from here. And we certainly hope that you will subscribe, guys. Come back and join us. Make sure you check out Teddy Wager Talk today. That would be 12 p.m. Eastern. I believe that would be 9 a.m. Pacific. Is that correct there, Teddy? Every week. I don't know how you manage to deal with the press. God bless you. We love it. But this is how, if you're thinking about being or profiting on a long-term basis, being a handicapper when it comes to the NFL, Teddy, this is a pretty valuable tool set that you should probably work on sharpening up here a little bit moving forward, because these look-ahead lines, they tell a bigger story.
Yeah, I mean, let us know what you think.
Yep.
Let us know what you want to talk about, what you want us to focus on when we talk about the look-ahead lines. It's not a video that either of us have ever done before.
Right.
This is attempt number one.
Yep.
It's a beta. Let us know what you think, and it's certainly something we can adjust moving forward. Your feedback is important to us, and as you appreciate the Wager Talk today promo. Again, every weekday, it's your Sports Central for gamblers. Every weekday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
And we try to be entertaining as well as informative.
Guys, good luck to you. Again, any questions about any of these games, anything to do with look-ahead lines, hit us up in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Come back and join us next week. Once again, Teddy Covers, Joe Raineri, WagerTalk.com. Good luck to you guys. We'll talk to you again soon.